Get away with learning sponsors. Start the daf for today. Let's keep the political discussions to an absolute minimum, please. Whether it's in regards to the administration for the shul or the rabbinical situation. A year of learning, Sarah Alpert in memory. I'm going to do our shortened version. A year of learning, Sarah Alpert in memory of her husband. Bella and David Adler in memory of her father. Friends of Honey Heifetz, friends of Jack Prince, friends of Sandy Davidoff, friends of Judy Cohen, friends of Dr. Annette Safransky, Gail and Leslie Kaplan, friends of Linda Katz, Lee and Harvey Greenberg, friends of Rochelle Epner, Ike and Evelyn Blachor, Steve and Arlene Greenberg. Month of Learning, Harry and Mel Haller, Tove and Leo Ori Zimmer, Judith and Michael Paretsky, Perry and Jill Meltzer, Bea Pizer in memory of her husband, Perry and Joe Melcher was a memory of his sister and his mother. Ida Grobart, memory of his father. Students of Rabbi Yisrael Leib Ed Kurtzer. And today, being the 13th of the month, we have a day of learning by Ann and Lester Arfi in commemoration of the Shloshim of Helen Garfinkel, Jim and Ada Katz, in memory of his mother, Kana Bar Aaron HaKohen, Bob and Paula Bromberg, in memory of his grandfather, Nosson Yitzchak Isaac Ben Leib Halevi. May Neshamas have an aliyah, crank Rafia, Velti Shir Shem Latzliach, Chol B'nai Israel, good Gabench.
Amen.
No, thank you. Okay. Steve is not here this morning?
No, it's not.
All right. I'm going to have us pick up on the bottom of Nun Zion Amud Bet. Okay. Okay, if we can start with Va'anu ein lanu ela na'ara hamuruasa bilvad v'nechshav. So let's consider, says the Gemara, Nami nechnesa lechupa v'lo neva'ala. Okay, in other words, two unique categories in Jewish law that the Gentiles would not have. Hi, Tana. Which Tana? Tana de Be Menashe. That's the Tana of the Academy of Menashe. Damar kol mita hamura levnei Noach eno elechenek. That any death penalty for the Gentiles, will be a strangulation penalty. Idi ve'idi chanekhu. For this and this one, therefore, there also would be chenek. Okay? I'm now on the next to the last line. Next to the last line, a Nun Zion Amud Bet. If you're using Art Scroll, it's probably it. Okay, B4. Okay. Savar, correct. Next to the last line, middle of the line. Okay. Savar Rabbi Meir. Meir, therefore, must be of the opinion. Okay, and this really starts a new discussion. Okay, Savar Rabbi Meir. Kol erva shebeit din shel Yisrael memitan alei. Any sexual inappropriate acts that any erva relationship really that a Jewish court would put one to death. Okay, ben Noach mushar alei. Do we say then that the Gentile is subject to the possibility of a death penalty? Vahatanya. But haven't we been taught elsewhere in a Braita? And now we pick up as we go to the new Amud, a Nun Chet. Okay? Ger shahaita horato shelo b'kedusha. So we're talking a situation where the mother converted while pregnant. And so the conception of the child was not done within a Jewish context, okay? V'leidato b'kedusha, but his birth was such that during the course of the pregnancy she converted, and therefore his birth, is considered as a Jew. Okay, yesh lo sha'ar ha'em. He has the status. Has the status that he has relatives through his mother, Okay, ve'ein lo sha'ar aviv, but he does not have the status of relatives through his father. Okay, ha ketzad, how is that possible? Asks the Gemara. For example, says the right, and I point out to you, if you're using Art Scroll, make a note around note number 1 as well as note number 8. Okay, in this item. Okay, nasa achoto min ha'em. One could marry the sister of his mother. Yotzi, okay? In that case, he would have to divorce her. Min ha'av, but if it was from the father, okay? In other words, there would be no real relationship, a sense of kirva there. Yikayim, he could maintain that woman. Okay? Achot ha'av min ha'em, if he married the sister of the Achot ha'av, if he married the father min ha'em from his mother, Yotzi, he would have to divorce her. Min ha'av, okay? No. Okay, basically, okay, it would be the father's sister through the father's mother. All right, father's sister through the mother. Okay, Yotzi, he would divorce her. Min ha'av, through the father. Yikayim, he may maintain her. Okay, achot ha'em min ha'em. We said the sister of the mother through the mother. Yotzi, that he would divorce her. Achot ha'em min ha'av, the sister of the father through the father. Rabbi Meir Omer Yotzi, Rabbi Meir must divorce her. Chachamim Amrim Yikayim, but the sages say that he may maintain her. Okay? Why? Because we might argue that Rabbi Meir forbids any degrees of relationship with the mother's son. Okay? So what happens? Shahaya Rabbi Meir Omer. Why? Because what Rabbi Meir is going to say us, Kol Erva, Shahum Rishum Sa'ar Aim, any convert marrying a relative of the mother is prohibited by Noahide standards. Okay? That's his point. Yotzi, and therefore must be divorced. Mishum Sha'ar Ha'ev Yikayim. But those through the part of the family relatives of the father can be maintained. Umutar ba'eshet achiv, and he's permitted in regarding the wife of his brother. In other words, what do we mean by his brother? His brother through his, we'll see in a moment, ube'eshet achi aviv, and with the wife of the brother of his father. Okay, v'shar kol arayot mutarot lo, and the other Torah mandated forbidden relations are permitted him. Ula'atuye eshet aviv. Does this seem then to include the wife of his father? Okay, nasa. Okay, so the point being that if a Kuthian marries, we're going to get to that in a second. I'm sorry. So the convert, okay, marrying the relative of his mother is prohibited according to Rabbi Meir by Noahide standards. Okay, in any relationship. It's not the view of the Chacham. So now we're going to get another scenario. Nasa isha ubita. Let's assume. Okay, let's assume, says the Gemara, that we have the following situation. Okay, just got thrown off Zoom for a second. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, what happens? He marries the wife, the mother and the daughter. Okay, so in other words, he marries the two women, mother and daughter, before his conversion. Then what happens? Says no, that's not the case. Okay, it's before his conversion. Okay, kones echat umotzi echat. Okay, he is able to take one into his home. Okay, and he must divorce the other. Vilechatchila, and initially lo yichnos. We might argue that he should not have even taken any one of them into his home. Okay. Does he actually have to have a divorce for the other one? But he just send her out. It would appear that once he is having converted, he would need to have a divorce. But he never actually, according to the Jewish law, he never actually married her. So why would he have to have a divorce? Because he's now Jewish. But now he's Jewish. But when he married her, he was not Jewish. But that's the point of the Gemara. All right. Meta ishto, if the wife dies, mutar, okay, bachamoto, then he would even be permitted to his mother-in-law. Ve'ika da amri, but there are, however, others who say, asur bachamoto, that he is forbidden there. Okay? And so as a result, we seem to have a contradiction here in what Rabbi Meir was saying in the two Braita. Okay? So what happens? Amar Rav Yehuda, this is Rav Yehuda, lo kasha. No, there's not a problem with Rabbi Meir's statements here. Ha, Rabbi Meir aliba the Rabbi Eliezer. In one case, Rabbi Meir follows the perspective of Rabbi Eliezer. Vaha, Rabbi Meir aliba the Rabbi Akiva. In another situation, Rabbi Meir follows the view of Rabbi Akiva. Ditanya, as we're now taught as follows in a Braita. Al kain ya'azov ish et aviv et imo, says the pasuk. Okay, that the person leaves his mother and his father and his mother. Rabbi Eliezer Omer aviv, when it says his father, achot aviv, it means the sister of his mother. Imo, when it says in the pasuk his mother, achot imo. Okay, it means the sister of his mother. Okay, so in other words, again, defining that Rabbi Eliezer holds that where we saw Rabbi Meir holds that any connection of consanguinity is forbidden. Rabbi Akiva Omer, this is Rabbi Akiva, Aviv, Eshet Aviv. When it says his father, it means the wife of his father. Imo, his mother. Imo mamash. Okay, his mother actually. Okay, so in other words, the point being here that a Noahide is prohibited with erva. Okay, when the okay, okay, in this case, and when an Israelite is subject to the death penalty. That's the case that we see. All right. Yeah, you have a comment. Go ahead.
If there is prohibition among non-Jews of a certain name, theoretically, if you become Jewish, you have no relatives. So if, for example, you were to marry your sister when your name is O'Reilly, everybody would say that's incest. So if you, now Judaism, both converted to Judaism, you could marry your sister. So
Because you're
people
not
would
relative.
say our rules are more godly than the Jewish rules, because now Jews can marry their sister. So whenever there is a prohibition among non-Jews, that prohibition carries over, even though
Rabbinically,
no
the rabbis made that carry over.
Right,
That's
right. Yeah, it's been
it was
Rabbanan.
it was the rabbanan that the rabbis.
Because if you're a convert, you could marry your father's sister. Your father's not your father.
The implication is with a conversion that that's a new person, and therefore they have eligible to marry. Okay, but what happens? Okay, so in other words, so that's the difference in the view. Aviv. Okay, so we go on now. Vidavak, citing the rest of the pasuk. Okay, to have an attachment. Velo bezachar. Okay, and not with a male. Okay, so therefore they're deriving the prohibition of male homosexuality there. beishto, with his woman, okay, with his wife, velo be'eshet chavero, and not with the wife of another individual. Hence, that's the prohibition for adultery. Okay, v'hayu lebasar echad, again citing the words from the pasuk. All right, mi shene'asim basar echad yatzu behema v'chaya she'ein ne'asin bachar echad. Okay, we're saying that it limits the idea of sexual relations, okay, between the only one who can become like a single entity, hence man and woman, as opposed to within any kind of animal. Therefore, we have the prohibition of bestiality in this case, right? So each of again, the Braita spells out some of the same prohibitions that we saw previously elsewhere in the Gemara. Okay, now Amamar, we go back now, okay, and we want to, so having expounded part of the verse, we want to continue. Okay? Amarma, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, he says, Aviv, coming back then to what we saw, his father, Achot Aviv, the sister of his father. Ema, I might say, therefore, if that's the case, when the pasuk spells out the word Aviv, Aviv Mamash, does it mean that he cannot have sexual liaison with his father? Hainu v'davak. We've already answered that when we darshan the word davak. Okay? Furthermore, v'lo b'zachar, because that clearly spelled out the prohibition of homosexuality. Ema, I might then say, Eshet Aviv, again, following Rabbi Eliezer's view, when it says the wife of his father, Hainu be'ishto. Okay, we've already discussed that when we darshan the word be'ishto. Velo be'eshet chavero, and not with the wife of another man, and namely, that gave us the prohibition of adultery, relations with a married woman. Okay, Ema, I might say, la'achar mita. Maybe it's different, okay, for the Noahides after the death of the father. Dumia de imo. No, that's similar to the situation of the mother. Once she was married, she was considered a married woman. Okay, ma imo de lav ishut, af aviv de lav ishut. Since whereas the mother, okay, isn't it not a situation of marriage, of relationship? Af aviv de lav ishut. So too, isn't it not a situation with the father, one of marriage relationship? Imo, again, we come back to the word imo, his mother. Achot imo, excuse me, the sister of his mother. Ve'ema, and I might say there, imo mamash, okay, his mother in reality, okay, actually, hainu beishto. But we've covered that when we talked about beishto, with his wife. Velo be'eshet chavero, and not with the wife of another person. His mother is still the wife of another person. Okay? Ve'ema. And here I might say, la'achar mita. Maybe it's different after the death. Okay? Dumia da'aviv. But that's parallel to the father. All right? Why? Ma'aviv, the love mamash. The same way we say we cannot, that regarding the father, it's not his actual father. Af imo de love mamash. So too we say it cannot be with the woman who is actually his mother. Now we've examined Rabbi Eliezer's view. We're now going to raise the question, says the Gemara, what about the perspective that Rabbi Akiva presented? Right? Rabbi Akiva says Aviv, Eshet Aviv. There he spoke about the his father as the wife of the father. Let's see if we can get back on. A second. 1 second, please. Okay. So what about there? Ema, I might say aviv mamash, right? We said that. Hainu v'davak v'lo b'zachar. Again, already we covered that when we said that they would be attached, but not to a male. Okay, ihachi, if that's the case, eshet aviv nami. Shouldn't that apply also regarding the father as well? Hainu beishto. But that's the same as we said regarding his wife. Velo be'eshet chavero. And not then regarding the wife of another. So we've covered that, the adultery. Now, the Gemara wants to say, la'achar mita. What about after his death? Imo, imo mamash. Okay, maybe there we're talking about his actual mother. Okay, so what happens? Hainu beishto velo be'eshet chavero. That's a situation again with the wife of somebody and not with the wife of a neighbor of a friend. Okay, now we're going to raise a new scenario. Okay, imo me anusato. Let's assume that we're talking about the mother, okay, and who's a rape victim of his father. Okay, so she wasn't officially married to him, but it could be that this young man, if that's the product of that rape, okay, what's about the situation there? V'mai kamiflake. What are we then talking about? Rabbi Eliezer Savar. Rabbi Eliezer's of the opinion as follows, as we go to the new Amud. Aviv dumia de imo. Okay, that the father is similar in status to the mother. Okay, v'imo dumia de aviv. And the mother is similar in status to the father. Okay, in other words, in this case, make a note to number 1 in our scroll on this Amud. Okay, and we're going to be talking about the following: Lo mishkachet la ela ba'achva. No, what we're talking about is familial relations like sisters of these individuals. That's what we're dealing with. The Rabbi Akiva, mutav l'okme be'eshet aviv, the ikre avat aviv. And we're saying that Rabbi Akiva, it was more appropriate for him when in explaining the pasuk, when it said eshet aviv, okay, to refer to it in the language of ervat aviv. Okay? So what happens now? La'afuke achot aviv, to exclude the sister of his father. The Sha'ar Aviv Ikre. Why? Because she considered, okay, a relative of the father. Okay. Again, make a note by number 4. All right, we're going to see a challenge in a moment. Okay. Okay, where it may be that the Noahide is prohibited from marrying the father's sister. Okay. Ervat aviv lo ekre. But why isn't it say? Why don't we see that the text tells us that the sexual relations, certain relations from the father, okay, then it's not called in that manner? Tashma, listen to the following Braita. Says our pasuk, Vaikach Amram et Yochevet Dodato. It says that Amram, okay, took as his wife Yocheved Dodato, his aunt. Okay. Now that would seem to be the challenge to say, certainly before Matan Torah, okay, it would be possible for even the Noahide, okay, to marry his father's sister, okay, his aunt. All right. My love Dodato min ha'em. Can we say, wasn't she then considered his aunt through his mother? No, says the Gemara. Dodato min ha'av. She was considered his aunt through his father. Right? All right, so, okay, so what happens? We go on. Tashma. Listen, says the Braita. V'gam amana achoti bat avi hi. Okay, so we have an example where Abraham is responding to Avshalom, okay, in the Torah. Okay, right? Elimelech, right. Okay, so he's responding and he says, in essence, okay, I'm not Achoti Bat Avi. She's the sister, okay, through my father. Okay, well, no, no, that's not said. Okay, well, that's what the Gemara is going to tell us momentarily. Okay, so what happens? Okay, so this then would be a challenge to Akiva's point of view, who's basically saying that there is no problem for a Noahide to marry his sister. Okay, so what happens? All right, so citing that going on there. Ach lo et bat imo. Okay, or bat imi, but not. She's not finishing the pasuk, but she's not the daughter of my mother. Miklau, the bat ha'em asura. This would then seem that the daughter of the mother, okay, is forbidden. Vatisbara, achoto have. And do you really think it's possible that she was his sister? And here comes your point. Bat achiv have. She was really his niece. That's the point that the Gemara is saying. Okay. Just a quick aside, by the way. Um, this model became a very common model among the Chachamim in the Gemara. Okay. Exactly. And that was what I was going to finish saying. Right. Michael's correct. And it was considered very classy. And in my other um, rabbis on rotation shiur, I'm going to be sharing with them this coming week a tzava from the son of the Rosh, who indicated that even in the medieval times, that was considered a very appropriate marriage for an uncle to marry a niece. Yeah. Yeah.
My friend granddaughter,
Yeah.
kept going out with guys, saying that he's okay, but he's not
Like
Shlomo. He's not who's your uncle. So finally, they said, "But you're so hot on your uncle, marry him." So they went to Israel to get shus,
yeah.
and the granddaughter married her uncle today. This was 5 years ago.
Recent times. Okay. All right. So it indicates to us that there was this model and later generations followed the model. That's all I wanted to. All right, we'll pick up. We can go now. Okay, Bat Achiv Have, we said. She was his niece. V'kevan dahachihu, and since that was the case, Lo Shana min ha'av, Lo Shana min ha'em. If that would be, then it would appear then that there should be no difference between whether they related through the father or related through the mother. Shaya, it should be permitted. Elahatam hachika amarle. No, but rather there in the example that Abraham was giving, this is what the intention of what he was really saying, right? Karva da achot itle bahada. Okay, right? My Abba, velo me'ima. Okay, that the relationship, okay, in this situation, okay, of the sister is through, okay, one, okay, of the father and not through the mother. Okay, Tashma. As we continue now, make a note by number 12 on the art scroll. Listen to the following Braita. Mipnei ma lo nasa Adam et bito. Why is it that a man doesn't marry? Okay. Okay, wait a second. We'll get to it. Hold on. Why is it that a man doesn't marry his daughter? Who do we mean by Adam, a man? Adam Harisho. Okay? So what's the answer? Kadei sheyisakayin et achoto. Was it question mark? Was it possible because he wanted Cain to be able to marry his sister? Shenamar, as we see in the pasuk, ki amarti olam chesed yibaneh. because we have a pasuk in Tehillim that says that the world should be built through chesed. Okay? Note number 13, circle. Okay? Ha, lav hachi. If not that, asura, she would then be forbidden. Okay? And note number 13 in our scroll defines that in more detail. Okay? All right? Okay? V'kevan de ishtare, since it would be permitted, ishtare, it would appear that it's permitted. Amar Rav Huna, however, Rav Huna is now going to point out to us the following. Kuti mutar babito. A Kufian, we said the non-Jew, would be permitted to marry his daughter. Ve'im tomar mipnei ma lo nasa adam et bito. And if you're going to ask the question then, okay, that why wasn't Adam Harisho, coming back to that example, okay, permitted to marry his daughter? Kadesha Yisakayan et Achoto, and give an answer that it would be enabling Kayan to marry his sister. Mishum Olam Chesed Yibaneh, based on the exception, okay, that we say in that generation it was necessary to build the world based on Rachan Chesed, and kindness and Rachamim. Okay, Ve'ikeda Amre. But there are others who will explain it the following way. Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna, Kuti asur babito. No, a Noahide, a Kuti, is forbidden to marry his daughter. Teda shalona sa'adam et bito. And you should know that the first man, Adam, did not marry his daughter. Velohi, but that's not the case. Hatam, there, hainu tama. This was the reasoning, right? Kadesha yisakayan et achota, in order to enable Cain to marry his sister. Mishum de olam chesed yibaneh. Why? Precisely because for that generation, Kadosh Baruch Hu felt it important that the world be populated and be built on chesed, on that
sister
kindness.
was proposed to. Her answer was, "I can if you're able."
Yeah.
I'll give you 2/3 of a pun for that. Okay? Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda as follows. Okay, and we now get to a different scenario. All right, as we pick up in the middle of the Amud. Eved mutar be'imo umutar be'bito. A servant, in other words, meaning a Canaanite servant. Okay, all right, a non-Jew Canaanite servant would be permitted to marry his mother, or is permitted with his mother, or permitted with his daughter. Yatsami klal kuti uleklal Yisrael loba. Okay, he would be excluded then from the category of a kuti, okay, and into the general category of a Jew. Remember, an Eved has some level of command mitzvah, okay, like a woman, okay, all right, and so, but nevertheless, he would then not be eligible to enter the Jewish fold, so to speak.
Why doesn't this offend the sensibility?
Of whom?
What was his question?
David's question is, why
offend our
doesn't this
sensibility? You say to
offend?
an Eved, okay, you can marry your mother. She's in the next room. You can marry your daughter.
Because the owner has a right to pair her off with whoever.
Okay, I'm gonna, Michael's point is valid, but I want us to wait a couple more lines in the Gemara to be able to give us a sense, okay, of what issue of sensitivity is there here? It's a good question. It's a valid answer, but I want us to pick up what the Gemara is telling us. What does it tell us? Ki ata Rav Dimi. When Rav Dimi came, remember he was commuting back and forth. Okay? Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chani. He said that was said by Rabbi Elazar in the name of Rabbi Chanina. So you've got at least 2 generations here. Okay? Ben Noach, Sheyiched, right? Okay? Shifcha la'avdo. If you have a Gentile, a non-Jewish master, okay, I'm going to use that phrase, who had decided to pair off, thank you, okay, a female servant with his servant, uba aleha, but the master is the one who has relations with the female servant, okay, neharag aleha, may be put to death on this situation. Me'amat, what is the reasoning? Okay, Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman here, Midikaru la Ravita de Palnaya. Why? Because basically the people are going to call her the women of so and so. No, she belongs to so and so. Okay.
Meaning that she is the partner of some slave. Once it's known that she's paired off with another slave, everybody in town
People-
says, "Oh, they're a couple." So if the master has beer with her,
He's violating, okay.
common knowledge.
It would appear that that's the case.
Which, by the way, in the South was totally common behavior
Right.
with slaves.
Mhm.
That's what you said.
They just
Right.
treated them like
Yeah, but
Property.
that was in America. That wasn't that.
I
Then
Right.
they had a
understand.
greater sensibility.
Okay, so now we're seeing that.
Breaks up with
Then it's
them, the
different.
master's fine.
Right. Me'emat hatra'ata. What do we say then about any kind of when did she become free? Okay, from the okay, Amar Rav Huna, Misha Par'a Rosha Bashuk. When she uncovers her head in public. Okay, in other words, she no longer has that status of, I'm going to put in quotes, belonging to that individual.
It's pointing out that married women,
Cover
whether
their hair.
Jewish or not Jewish,
Cover
cover
their
their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Even
Okay.
slaves covered
Right.
there.
Right.
It's kind of a
Right. Okay. Amar Rabbi Elazar. Let's go on. Amar
The
Rabbi
slaves couldn't
Hanina.
afford the shade.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Ben Noach. Okay. Ben Noach Shaba al Ishto Shalo Kedarka. Okay, so now we get into a little bit more issue of behavior on the part of the Gentile. Okay, the Gentile who has relations with his wife in an unnatural manner. We all understood that that meant anal. Okay, all right, chayav. Okay, would be guilty of an act that would merit a death penalty. Okay, shenamar. Why? Because our pasuk says v'davak v'shalo v'davak, that you have a merging. I'll say, put it that way. Velo, and not shalo kedarka, and not in this unnatural manner. Amar Rava, says Rava, mi ika mide, and he's questioning that view. Says Rava, mi ika mide the Yisrael lo mechayev vekute mechayev. Is there such a situation where a Jew is not to be found responsible or guilty, but a kuti, a non-Jew, would be held to a higher standard of morality and therefore be found guilty, a death penalty under such circumstances? Ella Amar Rava, says Rava, Ben Noach Shaba al Eshet Chavero Shelo Kedarka. No, it's a situation, Rava says, when a Gentile has relations with his neighbor's wife in a unnatural manner, patur, then the person would be exempt. Ma'itama, what would be the reasoning? Be'ishto, it says with regards to his wife, velo be'eshet chavero, and not with the wife of his neighbor. Vidavak, okay, and they meld, they join together. Velo shelo kedarka, and not in the unnatural manner. Now, picking up.
As a point of information, it's quite prevalent in Islamic society that unmarried girls are matter themselves to have relations to that's considered like
That because that
so focused on that specific that they're mafka themselves.
okay. No, the point is that therefore they can still be considered a
No
virgin.
hands with Muslim girl who's unmarried. you're not correct.
Not correct.
See it.
I don't know.
I read enough about
Amar Rabbi Chanina. Let's go on. Oved Kochavim Shahika et Yisrael. Okay, a idol worshiper that strikes a Jew. Chayav mita. Okay, is subject to the death penalty. Okay, Shenema, as it says in a pasuk, Vayifen ko v'cho, vayar ki ein ish, vayachet hamitzri v'chulei. Okay, with regard to that situation, okay, cited in the story of Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, what happens? V'gomer, etc. V'amar Rabbi Chanina, says Rabbi Chanina, Hasoter lo'o shel Yisrael, one who slaps the jaw or the cheek, okay, of a Jew. Ki'ilu soter lo'o shel Shechina, it's as if they're slapping the face of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shenamar, why? Because of the pasuk, Mokesh Adam Yila Kodesh. Okay, all right, let's go on. Got a little bit more. I think time-wise, we're okay. All right. Magbia Avdo Shavat Siman. Okay, so we have a mnemonic device to tell us what's coming up. Amar Reish Lakish, says Reish Lakish. Hamagbia Yado al Chavero, one who raises his hand against a neighbor. In other words, as if about to strike him. Afal pi shalohikahu, even though he did not actually strike him. Nikra Rasha is considered a wicked person. Shneamar, says the pasuk, Vayomer Rasha lama takereach, as said to the wicked one, why did you strike your neighbor? Okay. All right, lama. Why? Why might you? I would rather translate. Why might you strike? You know, okay. Lama hikita. Okay, lo nema. It doesn't say why did you hit him. Ella, rather lama takeh. Why might you consider hitting? Afal pi shalohikahu. Even though he did not actually strike him, nikra rasha. He is considered a wicked person. Amar, and furthermore, Zeiri now tells us, Amar Rabbi Chanina, in the name of Rabbi Chanina, Nekra Chote, he's considered a sinner. Shene Amar, as it says, V'im lo lakachti bechazaka, okay, if they're taken with strength, Uktiv, and then Vatehi chatat ha'ne'arim gedola ma'od. Okay, again, great. Rav Huna Amar, says Rav Huna, Tiktsof yado, cut off his hand. Shene'amar uzroa rama tishover. Okay, again, that the act of doing that kind of the hand activity should be broken, destroyed. Rav Huna, and now the Gemara tells us, Rav Huna katsyada. Rav Huna actually ruled in a case that they cut off the person's hand. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, ein lo takana. In that case, that we have no remedy. Ella, rather, kvura, except burial. Shneamar, as it says, ve'ish zroa lo haaret. Citing a pasuk.
So Rabbi Elazar is saying that he should be killed.
Right.
That's what he's saying. He should be killed.
Right.
Okay.
Rabbi
Right.
Lezer said he shouldn't have cut off his hand.
Shouldn't have that. He should have just killed him. Va'amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, lo nitna karka ela leba'alei zro'ot. Okay, that the land was only given for the purpose of those who are strong men, okay, strong arms. In other words, for the ruffians, for the shenamar ve'ish is ro'a lo haaretz va'amar reish lakish. Excuse me. And further says Reish Lakish, my dichtiv. What is it written? Interesting, by the way, just a point of side information. Who's talking about ruffians and bad guys? It's Reish Lakish. Yeah, what was he before you? Right? He was the head of the Jewish mafia there. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, but they were citing Reish Lakish in these discussions. V'amar Reish Lakish, my dichtiv Oved admato yishava lechem. Okay, the one working the land will benefit from the bread. Im oseh adam atzmo ke'eved la'adama. If a person makes himself like a servant to the land, in other words, he works the land well, yishava lechem, he will benefit, he will be satisfied with bread. V'im lav, and if not, lo yishava lechem, he will not be satisfied with bread. He won't get food. V'amar reish lakish, oved kochavim sheshavat, a Gentile idol worshiper that observes Sabbath, chayav mitah, should be punished with the death penalty. Shneamar, as it says, v'yom v'layla lo yishbotu, day and night they should not rest. V'amar mar, but elsewhere we have a statement, azara shalahen zohi mitatan, a warning to them, okay, implies, okay, a death penalty. Amar Ravina, says Ravina, afilu shanei b'Shabbat. Okay, even the second day of the week. All right,
Even if they make it.
different day like a Shabbos. Okay, ulecheshva, and you should consider it gabe sheva mitzvot. Isn't that considered among the 7 commandments? Okay, of the, all right, namely ki ka chashiv shav al ta'aseh. Okay, can we not say here that this would be considered a, uh, okay, it is to sit and don't perform. In other words, basically that kind of a lav. What's the situation? Okay, kum aseh, rather get up and do. Lo kachashiv, it's not considered a positive command. Okay, so in other words, isn't it that only considered a prohibition, and therefore we don't use prohibitions? Okay, consider that within the court. Rather, it is considered a positive command. Stop.
Guy walks into a cult, says to the Rosh Kollel, is it possible you said that's right. He said, go yesterday over there. So they learned together for 15 years. Okay. Such an anger, even a guy. Because he have higher instinct. It's not fair.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I got to close out of
I mean, I was